tell me where you were on the night he was murdered?
I obviously remember quite well, Sergeant. I was at home finishing a painting.
Can anybody verify that?
Nope. I was alone all evening.
Surely you don't suspect me.
In a murder inquiry, Miss Hazlitt, we have to question anybody close to the victim.
But why should I kill him? Matthew and I were planning to marry. Oh, yeah. He was going to leave his wife for me. Now the clinic was a success financially, he could afford to take care of Claire and marry me. It's what we'd always dreamed of.
Can you prove that, Miss Hazlitt?
I'm not sure. I know that Matthew told his son John of our plans, and that his mother would need a great deal of help and support, and that he'd have to provide that for her.
But as to whether or not John would confirm it, I'm not sure. Not if he thought it was going to help me.
Married? Well, I've just spoken to Mrs. Brewster. She said the affair ended 2 years ago. Do you believe her, this nurse?
She claimed Matthew Brewster told someone else about their intentions. His son, John. So, couldn't it have been the son? I mean, when you think about it, it would make sense. We know there was no love lost between them. John Brewster watches his parents breaking their backs to make that clinic a success. Probably destroyed his mother's health. Then the old man says he's going to dump her and take off with another woman. His mother's dying, sir. John's hardly likely to be overjoyed, is he? So, he kills him. Tries to make it look like suicide, botches the job. And then he remembers Michael Steppings.
Steppings' letters?
Would explain why he took his time bringing them to us, sir. He was thinking it all through.
He may have been doing more than thinking it through, Liz. Now, Steppings said that he couldn't remember making any specific death threat. If you're right about John Brewster, that he's been trying to frame Steppings, then isn't it just possible that Steppings didn't make this threat?
As I told you before, the newsprint came from several different sources and would tell us nothing, but this time I looked at the adhesive. The same stuff was used throughout except for this one phrase, "I'm going to kill you." As you can see, that is most certainly different from the rest.
You want to pick him up?
On what charge?
We could try for conspiracy. See where it takes us.
It would be Brewster's word against Steppings. Steppings is on record as saying he can't remember making the threats. He didn't actually deny it.
Yeah, there's the glue. We could try and make that stick. Couldn't we?
Lewis.
There must be something we can do.
We need a fact, Lewis, nothing less.
We haven't really looked into this aqualung theory yet, have we?
Can't be many places in Oxford selling diving equipment, can there?
No, sir. There might be a record of sale somewhere. Another blank, sir.
What did he say?
Oh, he sells diving equipment, all right, but not off the shelf. It's not the demand. If you want it, you have to order it. There's no record of Bruce having ordered anything.
Nowhere else, is there?
Not in Oxford, sir. That bloke did mention one possibility. But Brewster would have to be stupid, sir. It's way too obvious.
What can I do for you, gentlemen?
Chief Inspector Morse, this is Sergeant Lewis. Do you have a membership list?
Yes, we do.
Could we have a look at it?
Yeah, of course. This is the present list. It's in alphabetical order.
Nothing, sir.
Well, as you said, he's not that stupid. I'm sorry to trouble you.
No trouble.
Lewis?
This J. Foley? That isn't Jane Foley, is it?
Jane, yeah. Do all the members have lockers?
Yes.
And the keys?
Well, I've got one set, they've got another.
I got him, sir.
Mr. Brewster?
Thank you.
Chief Inspector, what brings you here?
Your father was murdered, Mr. Brewster. Why should a visit from the police seem so odd?
You're right. It shouldn't, I suppose. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I was trying to read before you came in. Couldn't. Do you ever find that, Chief Inspector? You're reading and your mind's trying to take it in.
Mr. Brewster.
This afternoon, we found out that Jane Foley is a member of the University Sub-Aqua Club.
You told me you didn't know anyone who was interested in diving.
Did I? I must have forgotten. That's all.
Why did you wait so long before bringing us the letters, Mr. Brewster?
Look, Chief Inspector, I told you with the
We
death of
think
my...
one of the letters was altered.
How altered?
A phrase was added, a specific death threat against your father. Now, Michael Steppings couldn't remember doing it. I think you did.
Nonsense. You can't prove that.
Your father told you he intended to leave your mother, didn't he?
What?
He and Wendy Hazlitt planned to marry.
Chief Inspector, I hear everything you're saying, but I can't believe you're saying it.
Detective Sergeant Lewis entered the room at 2202.
It's all there, sir.
What is it? What is that, Moss?
It's a forensic report on a roll of tape we found in Jane Foley's locker at the Sub-Aqua Club. It says, categorically says, that the piece of tape used to gag your father was the last piece torn from the roll. They've even sent a photograph showing how they match. Would you like to see it? Now, are we to believe that Jane Foley is the killer, Mr. Brewster?
No. I'm the one you want. I killed him. He was going to leave my mother after all she'd done for him.
I should remind you that this interview is being taped.
I wish to make a full statement. I'd like you to give this news to my mother. And for the love of God, get Mark Felsham there when you do. Please.
I can't understand his reluctance to tell us more about it. Can you?
You know what policemen are like. Everything by the book?
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Doctor.
Quite frankly, I'd rather be a million miles away. You're sure about this?
John Brewster's confessed. Right now, he's making a full statement.
Chief Inspector.
Good evening, Mrs. Brewster.
Claire. Chief Inspector Morse has some bad news. Very bad news.
Oh. Then perhaps I'd better hear it.
Earlier today, I took your son into custody. This evening, he admitted killing his father.
That's ridiculous. John killed his father. I have never heard such rubbish. Why would he tell me that? Why would he?
Your husband told him that he was about to leave you and that he was going to marry Wendy Hazlitt.
That is vile rubbish. Matthew left that slut 2 years ago, he told me. He said he'd made a mistake and begged for my forgiveness.
Claire, please.
No, I won't have it. I won't listen to this. I want to see my son.
That's not wise.
May I see him? May I speak to my son? Wait for me.
Can she survive, Doctor?
She's had a massive heart attack, Chief Inspector. The odds are not good.
Mark, what the hell's going on? Why wasn't I called earlier?
This is Chief Inspector Morse. Chief Inspector, this is Thomas Neely, the Brewster's solicitor. Under the circumstances, I thought it best to call him.
Why wasn't I told about this?
Your client was informed of his rights, Mr. Neely. He didn't ask for a solicitor.
Oh, I see. He just sat there and confessed to murder,
Yes. I intend listening to his confession in the morning. You're welcome to be there, say 10 o'clock.
In the meantime, I'd like to speak to my client, if you don't mind.
Why should I mind?
Morning.
Morning. You've got it back.
A blocked fuel line, they say. Come on. I was going to give it a trial run.
No, thank you. I thought you should know that we've arrested someone for Matthew Brewster's murder.
Who?
His son, John.
You're joking. Why should a son want to kill his father?
Because he didn't like the idea of his father taking off with another woman.
The nurse?
Yes.
I don't expect you'll agree, Mr. Morse, but I can't help seeing there's some kind of justice for Avril.
I can't see it that way, no, but if I'm wrong, Mrs. Brewster hasn't escaped her measure of divine judgment.
How's that, Mr. Morse?
She collapsed when we told her about her son.
She'll be all right, though.
Her chances aren't very good.
On the night of the murder, Mr. Brewster, can you tell me what happened?
I parked the car out of sight near the house. I'd taken Jane's aqualung from the club and some rope and tape from the boot of my car. I walked back to the garage and waited. I had a gun. When my father drove into the garage, I got in behind him and tied him into the car seat.
There's a lot more to come to.
I want to hear something again.
I walked back to the garage and waited. I had a gun. When my father drove into the garage, I got in behind him and...
What is it, Morse?
Something wrong?
I want to talk to him again, and I'd like you there, Mr. Neely. Your solicitor has objected to your treatment here, Mr. Brewster. He wants you to go over your statement again. You freely admit to killing your father.
Yes.
You waited until he drove into the garage, got in behind him.
Yes. How many more times do I have to say it?
When you say you waited in the garage, do you mean you were hiding there?
Yes.
But how could you have known that your father would drive into the garage? Your mother said that if he intended leaving early in the morning, he often parked in the drive. I just don't know how
I waved him in. That was it. I waved him in. I remembered when I was hiding in the garage that he might not come in, so I waved him in.
You waved him in. Satisfied, Mr. Neely?
Yes. Chief Inspector, what the hell was that all about?
Would you agree that your client just lied to me?
Is he mad? You don't expect me to answer that, do you?
Why would a man admit to murder and then lie about how he did it?
Unless he didn't do it.
All right. I think he lied.
But you have evidence, Morse. The diving gear, the tape, a damn confession.
I have everything but the truth.
Chief Inspector, what's wrong?
I have John Brewster in custody. He says he killed his father.
That's incredible. I can't believe it.
You may be right not to, Miss Foley. Why don't you get in and I can give you the details?
Jane. What's going on? What is this? How did you get in here?
Mr. Neely got me in. We've come to get you out. I don't understand it. They say you confessed. Why? Did they threaten you?
Threaten me? No, nobody's threatened me.
Look, John, sit down and shut up. Jane's got something to say.
Morse is saying you used my aqualung. If you had, you'd be dead. The bloody thing's not working. The valve's jammed and won't let air through.
And what's more, we can prove it.
I asked the instructor to get it repaired 2 weeks ago. He never got round to it.
I'll have you out of here in 5 minutes.
No. No. You mustn't do that. They mustn't know. Don't you see? They have to believe...
What do we have to believe, Mr. Brewster? That you killed your father? Not anymore, we don't.
You lied.
I was trying to help.
You've no idea. You don't know what you've done.
So, if it wasn't Steppings and it wasn't the son, doesn't it have to be the missus? Why else would John Brewster have confessed, if not to protect his mother?
It's difficult to arrive at any other conclusion. You see, I ruled her out simply because I thought she was physically incapable of killing anyone.
This way, Sergeant.
We had to let John Brewster go.
I know. You phoned to ask about Claire. Coffee?
No. Yeah, his confession was a lie. We think he was trying to protect his mother. Would she have been up to it, sir? Physically, I mean.
Perhaps I'd better show you her records, Sergeant.
I've looked after Claire for 5 years. I'd hardly describe her as a robust human being.
Yeah, I see what you mean. This date here, sir, the 10th of June, 1989, does that mean she was in here that day?
Yes, and overnight. Why? I've kept her in on a number of occasions.
I'm just in the studio, Chief Inspector.
I'll be as brief as I can. I don't want to keep you from your work.
No, I was just finishing anyway.
These are very good.
Thank you. You're not in the market by any chance, are you?
Oh, I might be. Are they for sale?